Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell. Hey, we're going to get into a couple of things tonight. The first one is about an incident that took place. See, this goes back to what our show is constantly talking about, and it continues to stick to the narrative of where we are as a people and where we are as a country and where Black people are as a people in this country. We had an incident in Philadelphia. Supposedly, this is the city of what they say, brotherly love. Brotherly love. So we had two individuals, and I want you all to listen to this story. And then at the same time, I want you to do something about this also. Don't be one of these individuals or one of these summertime Negroes. And I mean summertime by some of the time I do this and some of the time I do that. I'm an activist today, but I'm a coward tomorrow. So we had an incident in Philadelphia where two black men went into a Starbucks. Now, I'm sure if you haven't heard about it, get off of BET and Housewives of Atlanta and all this other nonsense that don't mean nothing in the real world. So we had an incident that took place, and these two black men were sitting in a Starbucks, okay? Sitting in a Starbucks, waiting for a friend to arrive. They weren't doing anything, and one of them got up to use the washroom and was actually stopped and told he couldn't use the washroom because they hadn't purchased anything. Now, the manager decided to, that she wants to call that this individual, the manager called police. Police arrived and arrested these two men for merely sitting in the restaurant. And according to the 911 call that was made by an employee, his words were, "There are two black men in the restaurant who refused to leave." Now, for most people, that would sound like a very threatening situation. No, what it was is that you had two black men who were educated, who were doing absolutely nothing, and they were conducting business. Now, see, here's where white people get scared. When there's more than one of us, when there's more than two of us, they call us a threat. Now, unfortunately, sometimes it appears that way because when there's more than two or three black males congregating together, they seem intimidating. Well, you know what? We can be intimidating. We can be. But getting to this is where we are as a country, to where we can't go into a Starbucks and sit and wait for our associates. We have to be threatening. So the police came in and arrested, and the understanding was that they asked these men to leave. The men said, "Well, we're not leaving. We have a perfectly legal right to be here." And they were arrested. They were arrested. Now, the funny thing is just, okay, so, being at Starbucks while black. Now, here's the thing. White people can go into the very same Starbucks, sit down, open up and order their almond white cappuccino with the whipped cream and cinnamon on top, and go and not be accosted. Or they'll come in there with their homemade fruit juice and sit over in a corner, open up their laptop and start to work. Nobody's going to bother them. Nobody comes over and says anything to them. No one. I've gone into Starbucks to sit with people to have a meeting. And I get the funny stares. Well, why is he here? The whole idea is that this is a meet and greet place. And a lot of people go to Starbucks primarily for the Wi-Fi. They go in strictly for the Wi-Fi. Strictly. And before I get too deep into this topic, I'm gonna let you know that the phone lines are open. So if you want to chime in really, really early, call me here at the station at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. We're talking about the situation that happened in Starbucks in Philadelphia. Now, the good thing about this is that this was caught on camera, cell phones, and the still video surveillance. Now, the thing about this is that white people were outraged, who were in Starbucks were outraged. They even accosted the police officers and asked them why they are being what are they doing, why they are arresting these men, why are they harassing these men who have done absolutely nothing. But see what this is, this goes back to a form of dictatorship and white privilege. White police officers arrest black individuals in a Starbucks. This could have been any number one of us. This could have been me. This could have been your son, could have been your father, could have been any number one of us. But see, this plays to the narrative of how we are once again not citizens, not treated as citizens, not respected as citizens. This goes into this. This plays into this day in and day out. And it's terrible that we are still having this effing conversation about how we should be treated. Now, this is the part where, I can kick the police chief in the head, the police commissioner. He goes on to say, William Ross, who is the commissioner of the Philadelphia Police Department, says his officers acted appropriately and in accordance to police guidelines. Nigga, please. Now understand something. Richard Ross is a black man who is the commissioner of the Philadelphia Police Department. And you're saying, and somehow or another you have convinced yourself that this was okay. You didn't. It's not. And I'm not asking him to villain. This is almost the same statement as what this is likened to what Eddie Johnson said a few weeks ago about the Antonio LeGrier shooting. It was justified. This police officer killed two people, one of which was an innocent bystander. Help me understand, how is this justifiable? See, what these two Negroes don't understand, they were put in place by white people, which means that these are the scapegoats. You're the fall guy. So if this goes sideways, we have to create villains, which you are going to be it. I'm gonna repeat Richard Ross' statement. Commissioner for the Philadelphia Police Department. Officers acted appropriately accordance with police guidelines. So if this is police guidelines, arresting black men in a Starbucks who have committed no crime, who are acting who are basically out conducting business or meeting a friend for a cup of coffee, and you go in and arrest them because they refuse to leave because someone of another a Caucasian persuasion said that they felt intimidated. Then if that's the case, then we have the problem is bigger. It's bigger than this. If this is policy, if this is the guidelines of how to police a black community, we are in real trouble. We are in real trouble. I can't stress that enough. Real trouble. I mean, truthfully, day in and day out, we keep running into these stories. We keep running into these situations, day in and day out. But on the flip side of that, there's a bunch of us running around here like a bunch of animals that continue to that continue to validate how and why they treat us the way that they do. This plays into that. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where we have to say the good have to suffer with the bad. The good have to suffer with the bad. It's an unfortunate thing. It really, really is. Very, very unfortunate. But when we continue to have these conversations about black, white, how we're treated, how we are treated, how we should be treated, we're still in the month of April. We're only a few days removed from the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. But the scary part is that we're 50 years ahead and absolutely nothing has changed for blacks. Some of it is our own doing, some of it at the hands of others. Now, here's a now I'm gonna go to another story on why this ties into sometimes we can't we're sometimes we're our own worst enemy, and this and then the things that we do and how we operate and conduct ourselves um validates how and why white America looks at us, treats us the way that they do. About 2 weeks ago, no, check that. About a week ago, there was a story that came. There was and this was really hot. This was really a really hot topic as far as news is concerned. And I had to do some digging and looking into this myself. Um, Throughout America, there are several cities that are run by a black administration, a black administration. Okay, and I'm gonna just stick to one. About a week ago, there was a brouhaha going on out in the city of Harvey, and apparently, they had to lay off several members of the fire and police department due to mismanagement of funds, and also the fact that there was the understanding $1.2 million missing from the fire and police pension fund. Now, I want you to understand, for someone to say, yes, that's a lot of money. But here's the thing: you have people that work for the departments, and when they get ready to retire, they're expecting these funds, they're expecting this money to relax on. That this is their nest egg, and only to find out that it's no longer there, that the city has appropriated it for their personal needs. There was also talk to where they could not even make payroll. Now, I say that, and I speak on that because I speak on that about 20 years ago. And yeah, about 20 years ago, 1989, 1990. I had moved to the city, and that was when the city was in a somewhat of a was somewhat declining. But I moved there and I began and I worked for the city at that time too. And while working for the city, I began to see some of the things that were going on. A lot of mismanagement, a lot of things that were unfair, a lot of what they had a payroll. They had a pay system called a two-tier, to where they were paying new guys that were coming in half of what regular guys were making. So if a guy was making 900, a guy coming in, he's only making 450. But that's mismanagement. And what's happened now is that, and at the time, I believe the mayor at that time of the city of Harvey was David Johnson at the time. But now, when we have that, now let's fast forward a minute to where this city is now. Currently the mayor out there in the city of Harvey is a individual by the name of Eric Kellogg. Now, the the thing about this is that is so much going on, so much that is in the news about the city. There was an incident, or I won't say incident, but there was a situation that developed where the city was given X amount of millions of dollars to rehab houses and a hotel to turn it into basically like a truck stop right off of Route 1, which is Halsted, and 8294. Somehow or another, that money came up missing. Okay, you're talking about millions of dollars, and how does it come up missing and nobody knows where it is? And let alone the scary part, no one is being held accountable for it. So now we are now to where the city can't pay its workers. It's in steadily decline. It's in a free fall. It's steadily declining. This is a city that supports a transportation center that has 9 bus routes and 2 trains that go through there. An estimate of 75,000 people travel through this city to get to work. Travel through. So we have several buses that serve one in particular, the 352. Now, when the 352 leaves one terminal to go to another, it goes through Chicago. It starts at the red line, which is in Chicago. It starts in the red line, then it goes through Riverdale. Goes through Riverdale, Harvey. Once it comes out of Harvey, it's in Homewood, Glenwood, and then after Glenwood, then Chicago Heights. So that bus is going through at least 5 or 6 different suburbs that are transporting people. Okay, then you have the 364, which starts in Tinley Park. So it goes through Tinley Park, um, the Orland Park, then comes through Markham, then Harvey, then South Holland. When it leaves South Holland, then into Calumet City, and then sometimes on Sunday that bus goes to Chicago. So it's serving these 2 buses are serving 10 communities. Not to mention that you have the Metro that comes through there and the Amtrak. The sad part about the fact that you have this many bus routes that run through this town, and this town looks the way that it does, is the fact that it's sad that there's no more income. There's nothing coming into it. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. For this to be the hub of the south suburbs of transportation. But the real problem is the administration that is running it. Harvey's financial basis is property tax. So they're taxing every homeowner, anyone that has property and it is astronomical. But see, this is once again us being placed in charge and running away with the money. This is us in charge and not running and not being good stewards of things that are given to us. This is one of the reasons why white America looks at us and treats us the way that they do. Because that when they do give us something, we completely destroy it. It's like giving a 10-year-old a $500,000 painting, and they draw and a crayon. This is exactly what it's indicative of. This is exactly what, and it doesn't help. And white people have done this too, but there's a difference between white people in administration and blacks in administration. When white people are in administration are running a city, and they're putting their sisters or their brothers or their children in this work for the city, they're putting them in positions of power, but also they groom them into how to function, how to do this, how to run this particular office, how to do this. These people are not there. They're not there for the money. They're there for the prestige, so they can move up. On the flip side, When we are put in charge of a city, such as Markham, such Markham, Harvey, Dalton, Robbins. These are some of these cities are cities that have been completely run into the ground. Harvey, Robbins, and Dalton are one of the are three of that set that have been run into the ground because of poor management. And this is us all the time. Some of us you cannot give authority or power to because all we're going to do is completely destroy it. We're not going to run it right. We're going to have our hands in the pot and taking more than what we're supposed to. More than what we're supposed to. Now, this is something interesting, and this is where the part where we have to wake up as Black people. We have to wake up once again. Wake up, as Malcolm X said. This is a diseased mind. We continue to work, continue to operate in a medically induced coma. Today, the CTA opened. Well, if you've been through 95th Street or on the expressway and you see all the construction near 95th Street, because they're expanding, they're rehabbing the Red Line station. So today they opened the north end of the Red Line station, and I have yet to see it to go through there, but I am going to do it. I just want to see it just for the experience. But here's the thing that really caught my eye. The Red Line, which is at 95th and State Street, which border with 95th, that borders State Street and Lafayette. The thing that really caught my eye is that there was a number of white people who were at the red line. Now the red line is at 95th, is 9500 south, which is pretty much which is the far end of the south side where it's predominantly Black. But when you start to see white people coming through at 95th Street, it's not that they're coming from Oakland. What's happening is that what we're not paying attention to as Black people is that they're slowly migrating. They're slowly migrating south. They're starting to migrate south. Migrating. So now they've already gotten to 55th. They've gotten to 63rd. When you start seeing white people catching trains at 63rd Street, 69th Street, 79th Street, you need to be paying attention. You really need to be paying attention on what's going on because these people are slowly migrating and they're forcing you out. They're forcing Black people out of the city. What they're doing and how they're doing that is they're forcing you out through property taxes. They're forcing you out through rent control. They're forcing you out through the economic system, meaning that they're taking all and any jobs, nothing for you to do. This is what they're doing and how they're going about it. And we continue to operate and think, oh, this is an improvement. No, dummy. They're building. They are revamping. They've revamped the Red Line station, not for you, but for the white people that are coming. They are making more and more accommodations. This is what they do all the time. This is why you look on the north side on why the north side transit part of the transit system looks the way it does. Pay attention. They're not building these things for you. They're building them for themselves. For themselves. Because see, originally, Black people lived in the suburbs during the 40s, 50s, even during the 40s and 50s. The city belonged to white people. But then they realized that, hey, that a lot of us were commuting into the city. So they started to slowly allowing us have this. This is where when they started say, well, we're going to build the projects and we're going to keep them centrally located or where they are. But now they realize that they say to themselves, we want the city back. We want it back, meaning white America. We want the city back. It's indicative of what they're saying. We want our country back. First of all, it's not your country, white people. Never was. You stole it. You stole it from the Native Americans who were here. You stole it from the Native Americans who taught you how to survive a winter, because they didn't know how to survive a winter. They didn't know how to plant food. They didn't know how to create clothing to stay warm. They almost to a point they didn't even know how to create fire that would stay lit so they could survive. They taught them what berries that they could eat, what food, what particular herbs that they could use. See, we have to understand that this is a culture that had to be taught something, opposed to our culture to where we already knew how to do it. And it's passed down from generation to generation, or at least it's supposed to be. At least it's supposed to be. That's how you do that. So we're going to move on from that one. This next one we're going to get into, because this might take up the rest of the show. And I call this particular segment From the Hip, because this part is going to, this is just things that I see as I go through every day. But when I see this, as I go through this and watching how people operate, and when I say from the hip, I want you to listen carefully, because there's a little tagline. It's called Ratchet Women and the Men Who Love Them. Ratchet Women and the Men Who Love Them. Now, when I refer to that, now see, years ago, you almost wouldn't use that term when it came to a woman. You just wouldn't. But it's just unfortunate we're at this age now to where that's the mindset. This is what you are looking at, what you're seeing. Ratchetness. You at the club, you blowing all your money, but you ain't paid your rent this month. You at the club, you done bought a car. You got a car note, but you ain't paid your rent or bought your kids no winter clothes. And then you get these men that come in who are part of this lunacy, because what? Oh, it's tax. Remember now, it's still tax season. She needs somebody in her bed, and he need a roof over his head. The ratchet women and the men and the men who love them. There is a I can't make this up. There's an individual that I should say that's in my building. And when I say that this individual, this woman is very ratchet, I mean, you can't get any more ratchet than this. She put the R in ratchet, to where this is an individual where I don't understand women when you come out the house and you're wearing pajama pants and you run and your hair is all over your head, and then you just throwing something on and then you jump in your car and then you take off. At what point do you realize that at what point? See, this is we no longer ask that question. At what point does this make any sense? No, what it is that because this is okay. This is normal for you, because the individual who raised you, the individual who is supposed to tell you how not to conduct yourself as a woman, or I should say the individual that spawned you, so to speak, because when you as a woman and you come out the house looking like sheep mess in shallow water, who did it, what for, and how come? That's a problem for me. That is a problem. Years ago, when I started out, when I moved moved away from home and got my own place, and I had a cardinal rule, you know, don't do not come and greet me at the door with rollers in your head, and you're damn sure not going with me nowhere with rollers in your head and house shoes on your feet, looking like a hot mess, or the mess or have to do until the mess get there. There's a point to where you should take initiative to say this is not conducive. Now, moving over to the men who love this mess, you have to ask yourself, what's wrong with them? Nothing. Ain't nothing wrong with them. They all they see is a free get down. Because if she don't have enough sense or enough decency for herself to say this is unacceptable, he's gonna take it. He is gonna take it. If you one of them ratchet individuals that that don't care how you look from top to bottom, you ain't you not having a conversation with a hot shower soap and and the other things, somebody really need to talk to you. But see, this is the mindset that we constantly in, because we keep operating in this environment that we believe that it's okay. And then the sad part about it is that it filters down to our young girls. It filters down. So they see grandma, they see their mother being buck wild, crazy, and ratchet, and then it filters down to them. Now, the scary part is that then when you wonder why things happen, or there's certain situations develop, then you're sitting there scratching your head wondering why and how come. Well, because if that's all you're offering, it's all you got in offering, of course, naturally people are going to take that. Naturally. Naturally. Now, this individual that lives in the building is ridiculous. I mean, because this is a person that you just say to yourself, how in the world how do you have a job? How do you function? And then you're raising children, and then the guy that comes to see her, you have to really question him. You really, really do. This is why I'm saying the men that love them. That's not the fact that they love them. They see what they can get from them, and that's all that they do, and they go for. But I'm gonna pause right here. I'm gonna give you that, so that's give you a little bit something to think, to take us a little break here at the station here at iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. Hey, if you have a comment or a suggestion, give us leave it on our voicemail at 872-267-1381. Nubian Beauty of Hair. Check out their website for their fabulous products and cosmetics also. And check their website out at luxuryhairdirect.com/Nubian4. Remember to put the dot at the end of that 4. Hey, join us in this conversation. Ratchet women and the men who love them. Give us a call here at the station here at 708-223-8953. Hey, welcome back. Hey, welcome back to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell. Hey, when we left women who operate uh, uh, um, off the meter. See, years ago, when you ran across the worst thing when I was coming up, and the story or how it was told to me is that and ladies, don't take this to be offensive, and don't be insulted about it, but this, I keep it real. When I was growing up, the story was, women are to be seen and heard. Okay. I'm a proponent of that. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a mean way or a submissive way. No, sweetie, uh, conduct yourself in a manner to where it's pleasing to your mate, pleasing to your spouse, pleasing to your partner. Conduct yourself. There's three types of women, and men want that. You know, they really do. But you have to ask yourself, which one are you? Which one are you? That's the old saying, oh, they want a woman in the street and a freak in the bedroom. Okay. It's not a cat, it's not a dude out there that don't want that. Listen, we want that. When we walking down the street, whether arm in arm or hand in hand, or we just walking, you know, you are supposed to be his, as they say, the better half. What you say, how you look compliments that man. So that means if you walking down the street and you looking like a netted roast with everything hanging out, and if he don't have the presence of mind to tell you, hey, baby, you're not going nowhere with me looking like that. I don't want to see nobody come running out of a corner with a knife and fork, with a plate and some gravy and biscuits. No, it doesn't. You have to look at this as an overall picture. And then, unfortunately, there are some individuals that put themselves out there and then wonder why they're treated the way that they're treated. If you are doing the things that are conducive to keeping the interest, so to speak. Remember, some things you have to do. You have to keep it fresh. You have to keep him guessing. And being ratchet doesn't that kills the appetite. It kills the atmosphere because there's nothing left to ponder or wonder. Fellas, the same thing go for you. If you're gonna be a rat head thug, you know, and unfortunately there's some women that like that in a guy, unfortunately. But see, once again, this is us continue to operate in a ratchet environment. This is us doing that. There's certain things that we as men we have to what we have to, fellas, you ain't got to be at the gym all day, and being buffed and all this. No, dude, if you groomed up, you looking nice, but most importantly, smelling good, you're drawing them. This is the whole idea. And at the same time, when you all are walking down the street, you are her protector. You are her beacon. This is what our job is. Some point or another, we have to say, this doesn't work. Stop being ratchet. There's some women who are just completely when they become upset, or or a situation develops, they become ghetto or street. That's that. No, some of them have to get loudmouth and just buck wild and everything like that. Oh, you just it's just you just becoming a female thug. It's just that's not the way it is. That's the problem we continue to operate in. We continue to work that way. That's not it. That is not it. Ladies, you got to keep things, you have to keep things consistent. Most men want consistency. And there's a level of consistency. There's a there, and it's called being consistently bad, consistently good, and consistently bad. You have to ask yourself, where am I? What am I doing? How does this work? Which direction am I going? Make no mistake, when you are with someone, it doesn't necessarily have to be you all are having a meeting vertical. A lot of how this of understanding works when you're horizontal. It's about communication. It's about fully understanding. Ladies, it's about let me help him with whatever it is that he's trying to do or accomplish. Let me be the help. Let me be those helping hands of what he's doing, what he's trying to do. If he's trying to build something for us, my job, and I'm saying for women, the job is for me to assist. It's called aid and assist. What can I do? Or let me not only not ask him, but let me watch him operate. Let me tear a page out of his book and say, hey, this. Let me step up and step in and say, let me take some of these responsibilities off your hands on what we're trying to do. If y'all running a business, step in, ladies. If nobody, he appreciate. Excuse me. He appreciates that. He appreciates that. If there's a conversation between him and another man, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can say. Sometimes if you want to interject, you can interject at that point in time and say, "Excuse me, if you don't mind, I have a suggestion." Or if you decide that it's not the time or place, you wait till it's over and then you pull him to the side and say, "Listen, sweetie, this, or how about this? I have a suggestion. I have an idea." See, we have to elevate ourselves. We have to rise to a different level beyond this damn ratchetness that most of us continue to operate in, especially our women. And I say our women, our black women. The problem is that we have some black women. We have some of the most beautiful women on the face of God's green earth. But the problem is that some of y'all have lost y'all damn minds and have taken on a different identity of who other than who you are. You feel that in order to keep this man, that you got to give him money, you got to buy him clothes, you got to take care of this knucklehead. You feel that you have to take care of him. You feel that throwing your legs up and 10 toes to Jesus is going to keep him, giving him a baby. No, no, doesn't no. Uh-uh. First and foremost, you have to love yourself in order to love him. And most importantly, make sure that you love yourself enough so you do have enough to give to him. Love yourself first. Understand who you are first. Find out what you like. In my travels, and I've run across several, and I've run across some women, and some of which were very selfish. I mean, selfish beyond belief, and you just can't wrap your head around that. You can't, and you ask yourself, where does that come from? And a lot of that comes from them not receiving. And I'm not going to say lacking. It comes from them not receiving certain attributes, meaning being appreciated, meaning the love that they the meaning that being acknowledged, or some of them are missing, have missed out on that father daughter of love and the communication that they have. Because the true the thing that we have to understand, and ladies, remember and understand this, ladies, understand this: the first man that a girl falls in love with is her father, because she patterns every man after him. If her father was a scumbag, a sugar honey iced tea son of a gun, those are the kind of people that she's going to attract. A sugar honey iced tea Negro. If he was a kind man, if he was a loving man, a kind man, if he was a man who made sure that his family had and provided, that is the kind of man she's going to attract. Now, when I say that, it's subject to work that way. Now, but we can also have, now the flip side of that is that that you can have this, you can have a woman that gets that, but she still digresses towards the other side, so to speak, towards the dark side. She gravitates to individuals who mean her no good, who mean her no good, and mean to do her harm, who abuses her, who takes from her, who violates her in the worst possible ways. And then you scratch your head and say, I didn't raise my daughter to be this way. And the fathers feel even worse, because they're saying, what in the hell you see in this individual? And men make the same mistake. See, men, they pattern the women in their lives after the mother. Now, if they didn't have a relationship with their mother, and I ain't gonna say no names, but it's a breakdown. Because then what happens? They pattern the women in their lives after that mother, or the lack thereof. If they have a mother who showed no love, no love, no empathy, no sense of nurturing, then what happens is that they tend and they tend to gravitate towards women, not that who don't have those, but they tend to gravitate towards women who are broken, because they feel the need to bring them in and nurture. And then it's a point to where both parties need to be nurtured. And unfortunately, this is too much. This is a very true state. Not all of us are broke. All of us are broken at some point or another. We just have to understand, how broken are we? How broken are we as a people? How broken are we as Black men? How broken are we as our Black women? And how broken are we as people? At some point or another, we have to stop approaching everything with a Band-Aid. We can't keep going to St. Bernard Hospital when we're suffered a gunshot. When we need to be in a trauma center, a level 1 trauma center. And once we understand the severity of where we are, or how broken, then we're able to address certain things certain things, and be able to validate these things. One of the things that and this is another topic for another show. One of the things that we don't talk about is that we discuss that broken women. But what we don't talk about is broken men. We don't talk about that enough, because one, we're taught as men that we have to be strong, the protector. We have to brush things off. We don't even go to the damn doctor. If our eyeball fall out our head, and our arm fall off, or our foot curl up, or whatever the case may be, we won't do that. Why? Because we didn't see our daddy go to the doctor. I'll be the first one to tell you, My old man he never went to the doctor. Even when his toenails started to fall off, he wouldn't go. And you sit there and you like, what? But it's the mentality that we continue to absorb. And when you have broken men, women come in and they see that broken man, and what happens? They pull him in and they nurture him. And see, when you go into a part where you have broken men, that's because the relationship between the son and the mother was not broke, but was never established. And what happens is that these broken men either become worse, or they become well, let me take that, I'll retract that. They're broken, they either become violent individuals because they have um of held in so much until they become violent, or they become so passive till people just walk by and spit on them like they're just garbage. We have to once we get past this and understand this, that we all as a people, we are broken. Some people say, well, no, I'm not. Bullshit. No, yes, you just don't know it. We're broken in matters, we're broken in ways of economics, we're broken in matters of relationships, we are broken in matters of psychological and mental. And these are all the things that we refuse to acknowledge, refuse to even accept as being a problem. When we start to realize that, yes, that there are levels that we are broken, then once you have two broken people, you have a broken man and you have a broken woman who are together. And then if they acknowledge that they are broken, then they can work together to heal one another. Because you are discussing, you're being your beings become work towards becoming one, because you all begin to understand certain things, you begin to share certain aspects, you begin to share certain experiences, you begin to share that. When you have a woman that may have been a victim, who may have been a victim of a sexual assault, whether it was by and most of these incidents are committed by someone that they know. Whether it's a family, whether it's a family friend, a family member, or a friend of the family, is committed by someone that they know. And this is a traumatic experience, it's a traumatic event for them. So there's a portion of brokenness to where no one listens, no one heard them, and then when they run across someone who actually cares, who actually gives a good who actually cares and gives a damn, then they open up and they begin to talk and discuss what their feelings are, what's happening with them, how they got to this point. Unfortunately, men, you have to men we have to work a little bit harder, because we've been taught to where we have to hold that in. We digress. Because we don't want people to see us as weak individuals. We don't want people to see that. And this is the unfortunate thing, that we have to, once we elevate ourselves and realize, hey, there's some things we need to straighten out. There's some things that we need to deal with. There's some things that we need to discuss. Once we get to the root of what was happening with us, then we can rise as a people. But first we have to identify that there is a problem. We have to identify that. You know, this is a little part two. This is something else. For these young men that are away in school and in college and dealing with certain things, or trying to figure out how do I continue, how do I navigate through all the madness and BS that I'm watching or observing, and then at the same time maintain my level of sanity and integrity by moving on. I was telling a young man the other day, and I was talking to him and his father, and I told the father, I say, listen, you have to toughen your son up. And when I say toughen him up, that means I meant to not in the violent way, the physical way with fisticuffs. No, you have to toughen him up in his mind. Toughen his mind up to where it's impenetrable. It's impenetrable. Or if I didn't say the word, uh, you can't get through. For lack of, hey, all of us, we some words I have trouble saying. So I ain't the only, and don't act like I'm the only one. Don't act like it. But as I was talking to the father, and I told him, this is what you have to do. You have to, there's certain things that you have to educate your son in, because I was talking with his son, and I told him, I said, we have to understand something as black men in America. First of all, when we come into the world, that's strike one, because what? We're black. Once we've been identified by our gender, that's strike two, because we are male. They're just waiting for strike three, which will be what? Dead or in prison. That's strike three. But once but see, that's the thing. Once we know these two things, and once we understand what the game is, and once we understand that, hey, there's levels apart, there's levels that we have to elevate ourselves to different levels. We have to understand that we are broken people, by proxy, so to speak, because there's been so much taken from us till we have lost we have lost some of our identity, and we've lost our way. And some of us have lost our damn minds. Some of us have. We have to realize this. Ladies, going back to what I said, ratchetness. Ratchetness is the part where is where you don't give a damn on how you look, what you say, and who you associate with. Men, be cognitive of what you do, how you look, and what you say. Elevate yourself. Elevate yourself. And the only way we're able to elevate ourselves is right here, right here. Or as my daddy used to say, use your brain, and use your head, and stop using it for a hat rack. This is what we have to start doing. We have to stop allowing white America to penetrate our minds with things that have no bearing, the things that are not beneficial to us as a people. We have to do that. And once, and if I'm not going to say once, but if we can do that, that makes us unstoppable. That makes us unstoppable. The biggest thing that white people are afraid of, white America is afraid of, is an educated man. And most importantly, they're afraid of a black man and woman working together. That's what they're most afraid of. Education, and black men and black men, black men and black women are working together. Hey, y'all. you know what? I hope y'all got a look. I hope y'all got some food for thought out of that here on iHeart Electro Radio. Let's just say feed your brain. Feed your brain. And that's my time here tonight. So to my sponsor, Nubian Beauty of Hair. Like I said, check out their website at luxuryhairdirect.com/Nubian 4 dot. Remember to put the dot at the end of that 4. At the end of the dot at that 4. Hey, you guys, at the end, not my monkey, not my circus. Oh, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. No show next week. I'll see you in 2 weeks with some more hot news and topics.